Hello friends, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel if you're enjoying the instruction that I'm giving you. So today I'm just going to be talking about my Suzuki training experience. I'm going to be talking to you about what exactly Suzuki training entails, how to go about getting Suzuki trained if you would like to, and just a little bit about my experience. So I began Suzuki training, I believe it was in 2018. There was a course being offered at my school while I was in my master's degree, and I thought it would just be a really good opportunity to level up my resume, level up my teaching, so I decided to take it. That one decision, I truly believe, changed, I don't want to sound dramatic and say my life, but I definitely think it did. I was teaching before I took Suzuki training, but the training just opened my eyes to different teaching techniques, the quality of teaching, and the quality of the students, how good the students could be if you teach them well. So I believe there are 7 Suzuki Associations, and you have to be a part of a Suzuki Association in order to receive Suzuki training. So I live in the US, so I'm a part of the Suzuki Association for the Americas, which I believe is North America and South America. I know there is an Asian one. I believe there is a European one. So if you are looking into getting trained, I would just Google Suzuki Association and then your region or where you live. So that's the first thing. Then you do have to audition. So there are 10 Suzuki books total, but there are only 9 book courses because 9 and 10 are in one course. If you didn't know, books 9 and 10 are just Mozart concertos. So that's one course, and then the rest of the books are their each individual course. So there's basically 3 different levels of audition. The first level, you can take books 1 through 4, and I believe you have to play the sights by 1, and you have to play the Vivaldi. I can't remember it's first or third movement. I think it's the third movement. And then if you want to get trained through book 8, you have to play the Bach A minor, the first movement. And then if you want to get trained all the way through book 10, you have to play a first movement of a Mozart concerto. I've auditioned through book 8, so right now I can take through book 8. I'm currently trained through book 6. So the first course you have to take is called Every Child Can. It is, I think, only an hour or 2 long, where they basically just explain the Suzuki philosophy. You watch a video about the Suzuki method. In my course, we played this game where we had to remember a sequence of numbers, and one heard it and one just had to read it. And basically they were trying to get the idea of learning by ear in our head. The people that heard it remembered a lot more numbers than the people that just read it. So that's usually a one-day thing. And then for book 1 training, book 1 is the longest course that you will take. So I don't remember exactly how long it is, but book 2 on up, there's 15 hours of course and 8 hours of observation. Book 1 is more, like I mentioned, I'm not sure exactly how much more, but yeah, so obviously everything has changed recently with the pandemic and things, becoming online. But before that, you could only take training in a couple of different ways. You could take training at an institute, and an institute is basically like a summer camp. So teachers go and they can get trained, and then students go as well. And then they take lessons, they have master classes, and they of course have performances. I have been to an institute. I did my book 3 training at an institute, and it was very intense because it's only 5 days. So you have to do all of your 15 hours of training and all of your 8 hours of observation in just 5 days. And it can be a little hard to find observations because you should observe the book that you are doing. So for example, when I was doing book 3, I should observe book 3 lessons, but it was hard to go around and find those different lessons. And maybe there was some teacher that you wanted to see, but they weren't doing your book. So it was kind of complicated. Another way, which is how I did my books 1 and 2, was that we had a course being offered at our school. One of the teachers there, the teacher trainers, also taught in the community music division, and so we had our courses that way. Now books 4, 5, and 6, The other way was you could take long-term training, which is where if you had a teacher trainer in your area, then you could go do private training with them like once a week and get your training done that way. Now, of course, we have the online option, which is so great. One, because you are not limited to the institute or the teacher trainers that are around you, right? You can pick from a wide variety of teacher trainers, which I really like. And two, I think it's a lot more manageable. The one that I'm taking right now, I'm taking book 4 right now. It's 2 hours a week for 8 weeks, which I think is very manageable. And you also get to observe the teachers that you are actually taking from, right? So like the teacher I'm taking from now, my observations are him and his students, which I think is super helpful rather than just having to go and observe like random teachers at the institute. So in the training, you will go through each of the pieces in the book in detail. They will talk about, bow division. They will talk about left-hand choreography. And then, of course, you're going to talk about other essential elements that the student needs at that point. So, for example, in book 2 and 3, we talked about vibrato. We talked about note reading. We've talked about scales. We've talked about shifting. All of that stuff we talk about. Of course, every teacher trainer is a little bit different, right? They're all going to offer you just their perspective, and they're going to, say things that are important to them or make you do things that are important to them. So like when I was in book 1, we had to memorize the whole book. When I was in book 2, I think we had to memorize the whole book too. And we played it together pretty much every class. Sometimes we've had to play for each other. I've had to teach in front of the class as well. So it really just depends on your teacher trainer, right? We also talk about group class. We talk about building a studio. We talked about makeup policies and pretty much just everything that you can imagine that relates to being a teacher and actually teaching or the business side of teaching. So I think that's pretty much all that I can think of. If you have any questions about training, definitely let me know. Like I said, it depends on the course that you're taking, like the amount of time. Like it's always 15 hours, right? Book 2 on up. But like if you're at an institute, like you said, it's just 5 days, right? But if you're taking it online, it's spread out over several weeks. So it just depends on that. So yeah, like I said, I'm currently trained through book 6, and if you are thinking about doing Suzuki training, I highly recommend it. Also wanted to say a note about the auditions. Like they're not expecting you to be a concert violinist, right? They just want to see that you can play. So if you play, like I wouldn't be worried about it at all. It's not like a huge deal. The other thing I will say though, something to consider is that Suzuki training is pretty expensive. But it's definitely worth it. I believe book 1 is $800 and the rest of the books are $400. So that is definitely something to consider. It might be something that you need to save up for, but I highly recommend it. It's totally revolutionized the way I think, the way I teach, the way I play. I've gotten so much more into pedagogy, and I've gotten to just share ideas and hear all sorts of cool things. And of course you take what you want. You take a little bit from everybody and then you kind of mold it into your own teaching style. So, like I said, if you have any other questions about Suzuki training, definitely drop them below. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you for watching.